What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Patrick here. Moving on to the next question. We have to simplify this expression here. So we got the absolute value of 2 root 6 minus Euler's number e minus pi minus Euler's number e minus pi minus the square root of 96. So with something like this, first thing we want to do is get rid of any absolute values. So just as a quick review, if you have anything, let's call it capital A, within an absolute value, this could be a variable or this could be an expression like this. Basically, this is going to equal that same expression as long as that expression is greater than or equal to 0. Or if that expression is negative, then we got to multiply it by -1 in order to turn it positive. So what we got to do is we got to first figure out whether this expression within the absolute value is going to be negative or positive. If it's negative, we've got to multiply it by -1. If it's positive, we just leave it as is. We could just get rid of the absolute values and then go into simplifying. The question is, let's say we don't have a calculator, is figuring out, is that going to be, how do we figure out if it's positive or negative? Because we have e pi and then we got this radical here, 2 root 6. Well, if I rewrite it, if I got 2 root 6, now minus e, we know Euler's number is what? It's approximately 2.72 if we round it to 2 decimal places, and then pi is approximately 3.14, like that. So we'll have 2 root 6 minus, if we subtract these two, what we would end up with is 5.86 approximately. Right? And then from here, I feel like figuring out whether this is positive or negative is a little bit easier than figuring out whether that is positive or negative. But it's still not, we're still not fully there yet. But what we can do is this 2 root 6, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rewrite that as the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. I converted this 2 to a square root of 4, and then I can multiply these, and this would be the square root of 24. So I can take this and rewrite it as a square root of 24 minus 5.86. And then from there, it's easier to see because notice that 24 is very close to 25, which is a perfect square, and we know the square root of 25 is equal to 5. So we know the square root of 24 is going to be less than 5. Whatever that number is, it's going to be 4 point something. We just know it's going to be less than 5. So we're going to have a number here. It's going to be 4 point something minus approximately 5.86. 4 point something minus 5.86, notice that's going to give us a negative value. So I took this radical and I converted it to this and then kind of combined these into a decimal. And then without even using a calculator, as long as you know pi is 3.14, Euler's number is approximately 2.72, we can kind of see, we can kind of use logic to figure out that that expression is going to be negative. And so when something is negative with an absolute value, we got to multiply by -1 to turn it into a positive. So this we can rewrite as negative 2 root 6 minus e minus pi. And then we got the minus e minus pi minus root 96, like that. So then distributing here, all the signs change. Minus e minus pi minus root 96. This, those net out to 0. So we actually end up with minus 2 root 6 minus root 96. That's what the answer is. But we can actually simplify this further because this root 96 here, what we can do is we can rewrite that. If we do it on the side here, notice we can divide this by 4. So root 96 we can rewrite as root 4 multiplied by root 24, like that. Right? And then root 4 we know is 2, so it would be 2 root 24. So root 96 is the same as 2 root 24. And then root 24 we can rewrite as root 4 times root 6. And then notice root 4 is 2. And so we'd have 4 root 6 over here. So 4 root 6 is the same as the square root of 96. And then this we can't simplify any further because the root 6 would be like root 3 times root 2, but none of these are perfect squares. Right? So 4 root 6 is the furthest we could take this radical and simplify it. And now notice that if we take that, plug it in here, we'll have minus 4 root 6. And then notice these are like terms because the roots are the same. And remember when you have, this as a quick review, if I got something like a root c plus or minus b root c, then we could add those coefficients in front. This is going to equal a plus or minus b, and then we'll have a root c. So we can net out those coefficients, negative 2 and negative 4, which would be minus 6 root 6. And so that ends up being the simplified answer for that expression. So first figure out any absolute values. Is it positive or negative? Sometimes you're going to have to use a little logic on the side to figure that out. Then once you do, you can go ahead and simplify, and then simplify all the radicals to see if anything can further net out, like here. And the final answer for this is negative 6 root 6.